set it up. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion.
Yeah. In that case, we won't make them wait any longer. We got full phone lines, and we'll just get started. We got, is it Mike in Tampa?
Hello?
Hello?
All right, well, I was calling in for the clarification of last week's discussion on metaphysics.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to find some terms, and maybe hopefully it'll be a little more clear.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's see. I'll start with ultimate reality. And by this I mean reality irrespective of our interpretations through the senses. And necessity, this is that which cannot be otherwise. For example, 2 plus 2 equals 4 with necessity in this universe. Right? And metaphysics is
Okay.
a project.
I hate to interrupt you so quick, but I'm already having a slight problem, because when you talk about the ultimate reality versus the reality we experience, and then you mentioned the absolute nature of something like 2 plus 2 is 4 within this reality. But
Yeah.
2 plus 2 equals 4, what that refers to, the actual assessment of valuation, is going to be true irrespective of which reality we're talking about. And the distinguishing characteristic between the ultimate and ultimate reality, the ultimate reality, what is ultimately true, versus what we experience, is one that I don't know needs to be addressed, or that we could address. What I'm saying, I guess, is that, like the brain in a vat thought experiments,
Yeah.
I experience some reality. I am forced pragmatically to operate within the reality that I experience. I accept, and you could say that this is unjustified or not, that other minds exist and they're sharing this reality with me. It may be unjustified because this could also be a product of what I experience. But I can say nothing about the ultimate reality, about whether or not I'm actually a brain in a vat.
Well, one of the problems with this objectivist kind of thing is you have to hold an axiom that your senses are valid with necessity. And do you believe in that?
No, I've said a number of times that, and we actually talked about this a little bit last week, the idea that the senses are properly basic is one that I reject. I do think that they are reliable, but that's demonstrated, and it's all within the context of the reality I experience. I know, for example, that even within the reality I experience, my senses can be fooled. And I discover this by investigation and a better application of those senses. On some level, there is the assumption that the information that I'm receiving from my senses is correct, because my brain is doing the modeling, and it is my brain that either makes mistakes or gets it correct. So yeah, on that level, you're forced to assume that the information you're getting is correct.
Right, but you don't know with necessity. You take it as a kind of a practical gesture that it's useful to
Right, pragmatic assumption.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my argument pretty much, is that you can't claim that your metaphysical interpretation is necessary.
No, not to an ultimate reality, no.
Right, so once you accept that, that all metaphysical views are equally necessary, which means they're not necessary, 0% pretty much.
No.
Absolute knowledge of physical ultimate reality is impossible, and it turns out all views about ultimate reality are subjectively value-based, whatever the individual uses as criteria for determining value.
You're conflating two different things, because we've already established, for example, that some things, and we do this, philosophically, they're not dependent upon our senses. The values of 2 plus 2 equals 4, whatever that means in an ultimate sense, is necessarily true in whatever ultimate reality there is. The concept that I have, the addition of, it doesn't matter what numbers or labels you put on it, 1 of this item plus 1 of this item is now 2 of this item, and that is ultimately absolutely true. So it's not true that we can't say anything at all about absolutes with regard to the ultimate reality. The same thing is true with regard to the logical absolutes of identity, non-contradiction, and excluded middle.
Okay, you can still accept the logical absolutes, but that doesn't make any metaphysical view necessary. It just makes logical absolutes necessary.
Right.
All right, so does that apply to my argument?
On the one hand, we're talking about a metaphysical outlook about the reality we experience. And then you went on to say that this makes all metaphysical outlooks equally valid, which I don't accept.
Equally necessary.
Well, maybe it'd be more accurate to say equally not necessary. However, what we're talking about, though, is not the ultimate reality. We've already dispensed with that context, and we're talking about the reality that, for example, I experience. And so, for the reality that I experience, there are metaphysical views that are demonstrably more accurate than others.
Yeah, they're more accurate, but they're not necessary. They're more practical and useful in terms of truth, but there are other metaphysical views that are more practical and useful in terms of comfort.
Sure. And if you care more about whether or not a belief makes you comfortable than whether or not it's true, that's your prerogative. I would never and could never do that. My only concern is, or my primary concern is whether or not a belief's true, not whether or not it feels good.
Right. And a lot of people get this confused with like New Ageism, where they say that all metaphysical views are equally valuable, which that's not true. They're all equally necessary, and that's where they get the kind of confusion with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.